What's going on, YouTube? Got another knife review here for you. Today we're going to be looking at the Chris Reeve Sebenza 25. This came out a number of years ago now, and I had my chance to finally get one for a pretty good price, and I had to try it out. I'd heard a lot of things about it, and say what you will about Chris Reeve as a person, and I don't know, I've only heard things. But this, in my opinion, the Sebenza, not just the Sebenza 25, but the Sebenza is still the industry standard for me. We're talking about prices that are kind of moderate in between the production knives and the full-fledged custom knives. So this sits right around that 400. Sometimes you can get them for 300 plus. And in terms of the quality of the knives and the tolerances, Chris Reeve, you're always thinking about tolerances. They always have those stickers that, best manufacturing at Blade Show. It was recently just dethroned by Lion Steel, which was pretty surprising, pretty impressive. But yeah, anyway, so what needs to be said about the Sebenza? You're always going to be talking about, for the most part, I mean, they have decorative ones, with different anodizing and different computer graphic images on their knives and engravings and whatnot. But in terms of plain Jane, level Sebenza, this is what runs at $445 new retail. Again, straight up titanium scales, and then a 3.625 inch blade. So that's going to be the same as the Sebenza 21, same as the large regular Sebenza right here, and then the VCP, which runs at 3.5, slightly smaller than the Sebenza, and then here you have it against a small Sebenza in Singo. In terms of the changes, I don't have my Umnumzaan right now since I'm loaning it to a friend, but the Sebenza 25 basically is the same thing as the Sebenza 21, just beefed up to the specs of a Umnumzaan, and then plus a couple of choils on the handle for comfort. But a lot of the design elements they took from the Sebenza, from the Umnumzaan. So, starting with the original large Sebenza, they started out with the little pivot bushing inside that made, the tolerances legendary, when it came to Sebenzas. That bushing was the exact same width that would sit on that screw, on that pivot screw, on that Sebenza. And you always just got that hydraulic feel, that glass smooth feel of the Sebenza, and especially when you're in the first stages of collecting, there's nothing like it. And I thought these knives were like tank knives, and now these are streamlined formal knives. But just an amazing feeling knife, that you get. Then they moved to the classic, and then they finally went to the 21, and you have these straight edged, handles that are all chamfered and extremely comfortable in the hands. Like, man, I don't carry my Sebenza almost at all. Like, very rarely do I carry it, and it's not because it's too nice or anything. I mean, it's used. You can see all the marks, carry marks from before on this knife. But it's just I have all these other knives. I still compare every knife to this one, and again, this one has the pivot bushing inside, on those perforated phosphor bronze washers that, always hold that CRK grease just right, perfectly. And then you even have this little stop pin, which is actually it's a sheath that goes around the screw as well. Then you've got a nice standoff right there, titanium standoff, and then you got your little lanyard pin in here. So taking design elements, obviously looks wise, of the Sebenza 21, but design elements of the Umnumzaan, what they ended up doing was adding a thicker pivot, not the old style Umnumzaan pivot, but now the new Umnumzaans have these thick pivots right here. Same thing in terms of the way of stop pin, double thumb lugs, and then this is more a taking away from the tie lock, lanyard loop or lanyard standoff here. So the lanyard's able to go through there pretty nicely, but at the same time, there's nothing there to retain the lanyard from coming over. So if it does say fall over through here, it's going to fall in line with that blade, and you're able to, cut that lanyard most likely. So, and then in terms of internals, the Umnumzaan has the ceramic ball detent, not just detent, but also the lock face. So I don't know if you can see in there. I don't have my flashlight on me, but on that lock face is a ceramic ball that is secured in there. So you can see right there a little bit. And when that blade engages with the lock face, it engages that ceramic ball. So we all know that ceramic is harder than steel, so it's not going to wear down that titanium lock bar in any way, shape, or form. And then of course you have the standard Sebenza, Chris Reeve bent spring clip, which is still, again, one of the best clips out there in terms of pocket retention and just ease of use and pulling it out in and out of your pocket. It just works great. And then in terms of blade stock as well, it's 140 thou thick versus the 125 thou thick on the Sebenza 21. So that's, again, it's going to be similar to the Umnumzaan. And then you have a slightly more aggressive jimping on the top of the Sebenza 25. It's rounded and it really digs in your hand. So you have like a series of 3 mini jimpings and then a large one, and then 3 large, and then 3 and large, and then 3. Whereas the Sebenza 21, as well as the regular, just has straight jimping. This one in terms of comfort, I feel like feels great. This one on the Sebenza 25 really digs in. So my preference actually is the 21 jimping. I like that a little bit more than this one, but both work just fine. And whereas on the Les George VCP you got large jimps, and then it really doesn't dig in much. It's pretty rounded and almost gear patterned, and yeah. So anyway, then one other thing that I can think of in terms of the internals is the tolerances of the phosphor bronze washers inside as well. There's a little notch that hooks into the blade, I believe, and so that causes the bushings from turning. So I'm not sure if that aids in anything, but it's just, honestly, to me, it was just more of a pain to assemble and disassemble this knife. This one in particular, I have customized myself. I anodized this blue and then stonewashed it, and then on the stonewash I re-anodized a bronze. So you do have hints of both colors there. So maybe a little bit reminiscent of something like, not quite the nuking that Randy does at Solo Knife Reviews, but again, somewhat similar. You can see kind of the cutaway on the frame here as well, and this is what allows the lanyard to kind of rest on there. So that's another design element taken from the tie lock. So the Sebenza 25 is, again, it's kind of like this hybrid of obviously the Sebenza 21, the Umnumzaan in terms of the internals, and then a couple of little features here and there, I think taken from the tie lock. So all these different, I don't know, accomplishments or industry standards and experiences with all the different knives that Chris Reeve and his company have been making, and then they put it all into the Sebenza 25. And The question is whether or not this one is the best one. My personal thought or opinion is no, I would prefer the Sebenza 21. I still like the look and the feel a little bit better on the 21. But for those of you who like a slightly beefier knife, you know, and the contours on the handles and things like that, then maybe the 25 is a little bit better. I mean, for me, I love the fact that it has like little ornamental things like titanium backspacer, like a lanyard, you know, pin here that you could put a lanyard through, and you know, just rotates this way, and it's not going to get in the way of the blade and things like that. You know, even the fact that it's straight here. I mean, it's so comfortable in the hand. You know, every time you put this in your hand, it's always comfortable. VCP is comfortable too, you know, with that large index choil. You know, they're all comfortable, to be completely honest. But you know, my personal preference in terms of the aesthetics of the knife is probably the 21 with a slight edge over the 25. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts on the 25 and just a little bit of history and comparisons and design elements of the 25. So hopefully that's helpful. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys on the next vid. You guys take care. Bye.